Fabrizio Romano has given a big transfer update today on Manchester United's plans. Left back, centre back, all these players we've been linked with the last few days. He even spoke about Southgate and gave us some stories on that, as well as Ivan Toney and a few other names being thrown about. But before we get into Fabrizio Romano's big transfer update, which is on Toney leaving, on potential signings, on Southgate, on everything, we've got to talk about this Omar Berrada story coming in, and that is that Omar Berrada will be the decision maker on Ten Hag. So, what's Omar Berrada's decision on Ten Hag going to be? What is he thinking? Well, this is the report. Berrada is due to officially take over as the new Manchester United chief in the summer, and it's understood that he will be the de facto kingmaker in any decision taken over the future of Erik Ten Hag. So this is coming from Luckhurst, and Luckhurst, when it's negative, you think, dressing room source said this report. But this seems to feel like a more credible kind of report from Luckhurst. It was said that Manchester United are operating under the working assumption Ten Hag will remain in charge next season. The Dutchman has been involved in the planning for the pre-season tour of the United States and recruitment ahead of the summer transfer window. That was confirmed by Luckhurst. So again, Man United sort of working on the assumption that Ten Hag will stay. But ultimately, when Berrada begins work, he will make the final decision. So what Luckhurst is saying is no decisions have been made on Ten Hag yet. They're going to act like he's going to be here next season. They're going to act like he's staying. So all this, Southgate stuff is nonsense. Berrada, when he comes in, he will get that final decision. Now, we know Berrada's a big fan of De Zerbi. So if Ten Hag is gone, I'll put my money on De Zerbi. Continuing on, it was said that Berrada cannot officially represent United until the summer, but he has held discreet internal and external meetings while on garden leave. Manchester United are respectful of City, who described as grown up by Ratcliffe when Ineos approached them about Berrada. And I have to say, Manchester City dealt with this really, really well. I think they're just like, well, Berrada's made this decision, there's nothing we can do, let's just get on with it. Manchester City dealt with it well. Newcastle still crying over Dan Ashworth, still a bit salty about that, understandably. But basically, Berrada's, of course, everyone says, when I say, Berrada's probably thinking about this and that, everyone's like, no, he's on gardening leave, Alice. Berrada can't do this, he can't do that. You're telling me on Berrada's gardening leave, he's not going to be thinking about what he's going to do. He's not going to have some kind of communication with the people he's working with. Yes, it will be discreet. He won't actually be working, but Omar Berrada's going to become prepared and know what he's going to do, and he will be the decision maker, I believe. Now, and after that, I do want to get into the transfer news. Fabrizio Romano went on the United stand today and dropped a big, big update. And why I want to cover this transfer news is because it's actually coming from Fabrizio Romano. It's no journalist making up, we want this player and that player, or Southgate for clicks. Romano's basically was asked about Southgate, about all the rumours, about everything going on. And Romano breaks it down. And when it comes to Romano, he doesn't just say stuff for clicks. He's just saying what he has heard and what the current situation can be. And that doesn't mean Romano knows everything. I think Ineos are keeping everybody quite in the dark over their plans, for sure. But it just means that, okay, at least this is news where we can somewhat gauge what United's situation is right now. So let's get into it. I've broken up into fullback, strikers, midfielders, and centre-back news, and then questions on the likes of Southgate. Starting with the fullback news, it was said that Manchester United want a left-back to compete for a starting position, but they won't spend anything crazy, which is fair enough. I believe that United will be looking at right-wing striker, midfield, centre-back, and then want maybe a 10 to 20 million pound left-back that's going to give some real competition, but nothing super crazy. It was said a young and important left back will be signed this summer, with Luke Shaw and Tyler Lester's struggles being an issue, injury struggles. I would keep an eye on a few players. I'd keep an eye on potentially Anthony Robinson of Fulham. I think that could be someone we go for, someone that's maybe under 25 or someone that's maybe a bit younger, up and coming left back. I think they could go for someone Premier League proven like Anthony Robinson. He's 26, or they could go for someone a lot younger, like there's a name that's left my head. There was another name that we're linked to, and it's completely left my head. Was it the Luton Town guy? I don't know. Anyway, continuing on, it was also said on Frimpong, a lot of people talk about Man United signing Frimpong as a fullback. He's more of a winger. He just doesn't really suit what we're trying to do in the system we're trying to play, if I'm going to be honest with you. But it was said that when Man United spoke to Frimpong's representatives before the World Cup, they gave the impression he was open to the move and he wants to play Premier League football. Frimpong basically, Wan-Bissaka ended up staying, and Wan-Bissaka ended up playing fine. But Erik Ten Hag wanted basically Wan-Bissaka and Frimpong in originally as his plan. And Frimpong had basically said yes to United, but Leverkusen went out and signed another fullback as well, and it looked like Frimpong was going to go in January. Then they thought, okay, it's fine, I'll just go in the summer. All these credible German reports were saying that United were going to get Frimpong, and we never did. So maybe there's something in there because, you know, Wan-Bissaka might leave, Malacia might leave, and he could play left and right back. I don't know. But I think he's very more attacking minded than maybe what we need at fullback. I'm not going to say no to Frimpong, he's a baller, but he's very wing-esque. That's the word to describe. Plus, I think with Dalot being very good this season, I'd rather focus on DM, right wing striker, other areas first, centre-back first. In terms of strikers, this was what was said by Fabrizio Romano. He said that Manchester United want a striker that can compete with Rasmus Højlund and play at the highest level. They want an important name, not just on the pitch, but for the squad as a whole. Good. I don't want a Gallows. I don't want Weghorst, which means if Højlund's injured, we're basically screwed because they're not good enough and they're just there to be a focal point. I want someone that's going to be in competition for Højlund. As much as I want Højlund to be the starter, I want someone that if Højlund is injured for 3 months, we don't have to worry about it. I'm happy to go with someone young like Benjamin Sesko that isn't quite as good as Højlund but could turn into a monster, particularly under Erik ten Hag's guidance, because people don't realise that Erik ten Hag does really well at getting the best out of a lot of young players. You look at Sebastian Haller, how ten Hag revived his career. You look at, obviously, De Ligt. You look at De Jong. You look at Kobbie Mainoo. You look at Garnacho. You look at Højlund. If you're a good, technical, talented player, ten Hag will get the best out of you. You can't get the best out of some of the washed players at United, but you can get the best out of technical players. Dalot, I think Sesko would be a monster. You know, we also linked to Gyökeres, but I think everyone's going to be looking at him. 50 goal contributions this season. We've been linked to other players, but like for me, I'd love us to go for Benjamin Sesko or Xerxes type player, someone that can compete with Højlund, but it's only going to be £40 million, so it's not going to be too much of the budget. Anyway, continuing on, it said by Romano that United is still having internal discussions over the exact profile of striker, whether to go for a youngster or someone with experience, but they want someone that's going to be genuine competition and genuine good enough replacement for Højlund. And he said that Ivan Toney could be a good opportunity for Man United this summer, which surprises me because I always see Ivan Toney going to Chelsea or Arsenal. I don't see United going in for Ivan Toney, but Fabrizio Romano suggests that, you know, Ivan Toney is a name on the cards. There could be a good opportunity for United to get Ivan Toney this summer with Chelsea and Arsenal now looking at Gyökeres. There's Watkins about. All of a sudden, the striker market went from being quite meh to like, okay, well, there's Sesko, there's Xerxes, there's Gyökeres. There's the guy, Jimenez, what's it called, at Feyenoord. There's a lot of names going about. Ostenham as well, who might be priced out of the move. So, yeah, I think Romano's saying potentially there's an opportunity there for United to go for Ivan Toney. And I want your thoughts down below. Would you get Ivan Toney? I think Ivan Toney's brilliant. He's a Liverpool fan. Obviously, there's been issues off the field, but he's a good striker. And I think he's someone that, you know, can score goals in the Premier League. It just depends. For me, us getting Ivan Toney would depend on the fee. Like, I'm not spending 70, 80, anything ridiculous. He's got 1 year left on his contract. You know, 10 on the fee. But also, I think he spoke a lot about wanting to leave Brentford quite publicly, which I felt was disrespect to Brentford, which you could say is ambition. That was the other thing that maybe put me off him a little bit. In terms of other transfer stories coming in from Fabrizio Romano, he speaks about potential midfield transfers, and he says at the moment there are no concrete negotiations with midfielders linked to Manchester United, such as João Gomez, Edson, or Rabiot. I think we need to get over this Rabiot stuff. Please, I'm done with it. He did say Atalanta midfielder Edson could be difficult because Cooper Miners, who's his teammate, could be leaving, which is fair enough. And Erik ten Hag says that, Fabrizio Romano says that Erik ten Hag is still a fan of Rabiot. Out of those 3 names, I like João Gomez the most, but I still think the midfielder I'd like United to sign would be a Human, Matsuifa, Amadou Onana type midfielder rather than one of these guys. I want someone that is just that destroyer, kind of 6'8" hybrid, does a bit more. Other news coming on from Fabrizio Romano, we've been speaking about this South American centre-back, Aaron Ancelino, for like my last 5 videos in a row. And Fabrizio Romano said that United is scouting lots of South American talent. No agreements have been made with Boca Junior for the centre-back, but he's someone that's been followed. So Fabrizio Romano has confirmed, look, United are looking at his talent. Look, United are looking at this guy. He's a player of interest. We've not agreed anything. Nothing's been made. But yeah, that's a name on the list. And I don't think United have made agreements for anyone. I don't think United will have anything done until summer. But I think there's, 5 or 6 players on that centre-back list. He's probably one of them. He's probably seen as, okay, 70 million release clause, could get Braithwaite, could get him for the future. Because we might not be able to afford Todibo. And he did say that João Gomez is on the list of multiple clubs. And there is some decent reports around the Wolves side saying that he could be leaving Wolves. So that could be one to keep an eye on nearer the time. João Gomez, definitely one. I think these 2 names, Aaron Ancelino and João Gomez, are ones to keep an eye on nearer the time. I think Todibo, Braithwaite, at least they seem to be the most concrete. I think Xerxes and Sesko could also be ones to keep an eye on. Romano was then asked about the links to Graham Potter or Southgate. And he said, Ineos appreciate both managers, but there's no proper talks. Eric Ten Hag still remains the plan, is what Romano's saying, and Romano's the best source of information. He's basically said, yeah, Ineos have a good relationship with Southgate. He's worked with Brailsford, he's worked with Dan Ashworth. They like him, but that doesn't mean they're thinking about bringing him in. That doesn't mean they're thinking about replacing Ten Hag. They're not, is what Romano said. Romano then gave some updates on potential outs, potential people leaving United. He said that United could be happy to keep McTominay as a squad player. However, it's important that he could be listened to. This is my opinion on Scott McTominay. He's been here 6 years. He's not been good enough in the 6 years. He's had one decent spell of scoring goals when he comes off the bench. When he starts, he's still not good enough. Let's not keep McTominay because he's found some decent purple patch of scoring goals when we know he's not been good enough for 6 years to start. He's a great option off the bench because he's a good workhorse. He's got the right mentality. He's got the right attitude. And I understand he's a good player to have around at the club. But when there's an opportunity to cash in on him for 40 million when he's 27 years of age, he's not going to get any better. And it's pure FFP profit. And that will give us the funds to invest elsewhere. I'd cash in on McTominay. There's players that I want to get rid of before McTominay. Toney, Martial, Ericsson. But we're not going to get any money for those guys. And the more money we make, the more we can spend on players that are going to improve the squad. McTominay can do a role off the bench, but I want players that are going to improve the starting 11. McTominay doesn't improve the starting 11. I think we need to sell McTominay. I also think we should look at selling Maguire. He's injury prone this season. At least before he wasn't injury prone, I thought as a third, fourth choice right back, as third, fourth choice centre back, I don't mind Maguire being here, but the wages he's on, you'd want him to be at first. He's injury prone now. I'd probably look to sell Maguire. He'll be harder to move on. McTominay's got low wages. He'll probably leave. Maguire doesn't. I'd sell Maguire, I'd sell Lindelof, and I'd bring in 2 new centre-backs and I'd keep around. And also Romano did confirm there's a lot of clubs interested in Greenwood, not just Spain, he said, but he said there might be a few in England as well. I think that was Romano, or maybe that was another source of information that said that. But Romano did say that not loads of people are going to be prepared to spend loads on him, but United do want to cash in on it. And then Romano lastly spoke about the Tyrone Malacia situation and said, look, it's complicated for the boy because he's struggling. He thinks that Man United will, make some clarity in the next few weeks or months to clarify what's happening. But I think there's probably more than meets the eye with Malacia that Romano is going to be professional with and not reveal. Or maybe he doesn't know what's going on, but maybe Man United are going to do an announcement about what's going on with Malacia. Maybe it's just an injury. Maybe there's more to it. There's a few rumours, there's a few speculations, but I just hope the best for Malacia and hope he recovers soon. Thank you for watching. Please do that like button. Please do subscribe if you're new. Bye.